What's up guys, this is TheKephas, and in this video I will be showcasing some new macros that I have created for World of Warcraft patch 8.0 using a mod called Gnome Sequencer Enhanced. For the purposes of making these macros available as soon as possible, please understand that this video is not a class guide. It will focus exclusively on the macros and how to use them. But don't worry, I fully intend to make new class guides once we're a bit deeper into Battle for Azeroth. Today we will be taking a look at the macro that I have created for Arcane Mages. Here you can see me using it to level up out in Tier Guard Sound. This macro will work in most situations and at every level, using new abilities and talents as you unlock them. At first glance, this macro may not seem like it does very much, because the only baseline DPS ability that it actually uses is Arcane Blast. Aside from that, it will reapply your Prismatic Barrier and use Arcane Power and Presence of Mind on cooldown. But there are certain abilities that you will just have to press another button to use. Arcane Barrage is the ability that you use to spend your arcane charges, so of course that one's not going to work in the macro. And Arcane Missiles is an ability that you only want to use whenever you get a proc, so that one's not going to work in the macro either. And of course Arcane Explosion is your AoE ability, which is also best used on a separate button. But this macro really begins to shine when you start taking a look at the talents, because it's designed to work with most of them. So to make sure that you have a full understanding of how the macro works with the talents, we will go over each tier one by one. The first two talents in tier 1 are passives, so they will not affect the macro at all. Arcane Familiar is a 1 hour buff, so you'd manage that one on a separate button. Tier 2 is a utility tier, so let's skip on to tier 3. Incanter Flows is another passive that will not affect the macro, but the macro will use Mirror Image and Rune of Power on cooldown if you choose either one of those as a talent. In tier 4, Resonance is another passive that works fine with the macro, but if you go with either Charged Up or Supernova, the macro will use either one of them on cooldown. Tier 5 is another utility tier, so let's skip on to tier 6. Here you have two more passives that will work fine with the macro. Unfortunately, Nether Tempest is a dot without a cooldown, so you'll have to manage that one on a separate button. In our final tier, we are once again met with two more passives that will work fine with the macro, and the macro will be able to use Arcane Orb on cooldown if you go with it as a talent. And that's basically everything you need to know about these macros and how they work. Remember, these macros work best when they are spammed, so either press the button as fast as you can or use a rapid fire button, which is fair game as long as you're the one pressing the button. As powerful as these macros are, they are far from perfect. So if you want to play the game at a high level and get the most out of your class, I highly recommend that you play the game without these macros. But if you'd like to get started with Gnome Sequencer Enhanced, you can do so by downloading and installing the mod. A link can be found in the description below. Along with it, you will find pay spin links for any macros featured in this video. If you'd like to use them, simply click the link and you'll be taken to a raw pay spin of the macro. Select the entire macro, copy, log into the appropriate class, type /GS to open the Gnome Sequencer screen, click on Import, paste the macro into the available space, make sure that Automatically Create Macro Icon is checked, and click Import. You can now drag the icon to your action bar and the macro is ready to be used. If you followed all the steps correctly, the macro should be working fine. If something isn't working, start over and make sure that you follow all the steps correctly. If you are having further issues, I recommend that you check out the mod page or contact the mod's author for more information. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know by clicking that like button. And feel free to share it with your friends so they can enjoy it as well. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to be notified as soon as new videos are posted. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and if you'd like, you can support this channel on Patreon. Links to all of this can be found in the description below. This is TheKephas. Until next time.